I've gotten the MRI reports that you have a bilateral pars defect with bone marrow edema.
Kind of. That's actually kind of misinformed because we learned that they were saying it's bilateral because they were seeing the original one. But in talking with Dr. Yoakum and some others, they didn't know it was already broken, so they're seeing it in like the healing process.
It's irrelevant too.
Yeah,
So what we'll do is if you'll allow me, I'll take 2 x-rays today of the low back because the x-rays that I have, there's a couple flaws in them. I don't know if she's standing or laying down, and I don't know if she has shoes on, which affects the height of the hips.
Okay.
So if I take 2 x-rays, we will know that. We'll get an MRI tomorrow. We'll have every piece of information that we need.
Okay.
And just a little history. Dr. Yoakum, I think, is the national authority on this condition. I'm impressed that you were able to talk to him because he's
very brief.
And the reason is he knows the topic. He's not in practice, so he doesn't work hand in hand with patients. So that probably is it. Now I don't know if I told you, I traveled for 9 years lecturing with him. 55 times I listened to his 4-hour seminar. So I would say I am the authority on this more so because I deal with this.
You put it into practice.
Put it in practice for the last 15 years.
Wow.
Last 12 years. So we've seen so many, so I understand every aspect of it. And that's why in the next 24 hours we'll have everything done that we need to have done on Wrigley. You'll have a very clear instruction as to what you need to do.
Super.
Yeah, so I'm thrilled that you're here. A lot of people wouldn't have come and we could have done it over the phone, but this way we're going to get it absolutely right. So, okay. All right, so Wrigley, tell me what happened. When did, whatever it was, how long ago did that happen?
August 17th.
Okay, so you remember the date and the time. August 17th, 2021?
Yeah.
For the second one.
Yeah.
The second one or the first one?
Okay, I'm unaware that there were 2, so maybe Cass, you told me that, but
The first one was December 17th, 2020.
Was it December
17th.
both on 17th, 2020? Okay, and when you say the first one, the first what?
Pars fracture.
Pars fracture, okay.
Yeah.
First pars, and at that point you had the x-ray and you had the MRI, obviously. Well, you had the x-ray to show the pars fracture. Did you have an MRI at that time?
We did, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and was there bone marrow edema at that point?
I don't know about the bone marrow edema. I
Okay, so
never
that
heard of
wasn't
that until we
conclusive.
started talking to you.
Okay, so now with that first one, did that go away, the pain?
Yeah, that went away.
Yeah, so we were working with Dr. Snell in Oregon, and so we took the whole winter break off, came back to practice, and it was hurting her again at practice, so we rested it another week. But she was like jogging on the treadmill, okay? So we went to practice again, and then she was just in tears like midway through.
Now-
She couldn't pass or twist.
Okay,
or
the point that
sprint.
she's in tears, how far after December 17th was that?
January.
It was like January 11th, second week.
3 to 4 weeks after?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah. Yeah, 3 weeks.
3 to
about.
4 weeks after, still bad. Okay, so between January 11th and August 17th, did you ultimately get back to play?
Yeah.
Okay, so you got back and it was healed, everything
Yeah.
was good.
So we were told, we went to like a regular hospital. They said, don't do anything. Here's a flimsy brace. We started seeing Dr. Snell beginning of February. Said there's no actual great studies on the effectiveness of having a brace or not having it. He said you should be moving it as long as there's no pain to keep the collagen flowing and different stuff to the area. And then we worked with him and with physical therapy, and she was cleared March 30th.
Okay, clear March 30th.
So then March 30th, she didn't have pain, which is great. She hopped back in it, like she was right away playing in like state cup games for soccer, which was probably too much too soon now that we look back on it. Then she was playing in basketball tournaments all the way through June, all the way through July. Second week in July, you had your last Boise tournament. So she played probably 7 soccer games and 3 or 4 basketball tournaments.
Okay.
So probably 20 basketball games. and we kind of took a break. She was playing some soccer. She played in a soccer tournament in Utah
Yeah.
in early August, and then I think we had a break. And then when she came back to basketball, it was like her second basketball practice back. That's when she hurt it again.
And was it a move or was it just in normal running?
It wasn't really a move or normal running. I guess I bent back too far getting rid
Yeah,
Like-
she's going for a rebound.
Extension is what triggers it.
Because I think she was reaching and then it came down
Yeah.
weird while she was.
Okay, so August 17th. Extension. And what'd you feel? Sharp pain again?
Yeah.
Okay, sharp
I mean, I played through it and it was kind of fun. It was okay. I mean, I could like
Did-
jog. I
did-
didn't really.
Did you go to somebody immediately after that?
No.
Have you been to anybody after that or not?
In terms of therapy?
In terms of diagnosis or therapy?
Yeah, so that's when we got the CT scan. We just were resting it for a little bit because it was on the other side. So because Dr. Snell put her through a whole gamut of tests that she had gotten tested for, like just physical tests, like Bender and all the different tests that they would do to test for a pars fracture. And the first time she did that, she had pain with a lot of stuff. So we did those same tests, but she didn't have any pain on any of the tests.
Dr. Snell, a chiropractor?
Yeah,
Okay.
and yeah, physical therapist.
Okay.
He's both.
So he did a lot of manual testing.
Correct. And she didn't have pain with any of it. So we were thinking it was just like a muscle thing or
Sure.
I don't know, something. So she was working with some people on her soccer team, the dads, there's a couple physical therapists. So at practice she'd kind of work with them instead.
Yeah, that's always, I don't know what your experience is, that's always inviting trouble when you get more than
Yeah.
one opinion especially with this condition, so few know about it.
Yeah, so we were doing with Dr. Snell too, and he was strengthening her core and stuff, and then she was just getting worse, kind of with the other.
Again, that's a
dads.
whole physical therapy mentality,
Yeah.
and the problem is nobody looks at this.
Mhm.
That's what is an underlying contributor.
Mm.
So no matter what you do, you're still this.
Aggravating it with.
So yeah, and that obviously a point of accumulating aggravation because that's what causes the break.
Yeah.
So if you don't change this, that is always going to be that spot.
Mm.
So, okay, so edema-like signal within the bone at these locations. That's what they're saying, bilateral pedicles.
So on the right side, it looks like, so the left side is still, they're seeing the old fracture, which is kind of knit and seems to be healed. Possibly, it's still got some of the edema. And then the right side, there wasn't actually a fracture, but it was like micro something or others
So
with some blood.
here's the deal. Let me just finish this history, then I want to explain
sure,
something to you. So now you're at this point. Are you back to activity or no?
No.
Okay, because you're afraid to or because it hurts?
My parents don't let me.
Okay, I didn't give option three, but I don't blame them. You know why you got a long life ahead of you. Does it hurt if you were to go back?
Like, I'm not sure. Nothing's hurt yet, so I'm not sure.
Okay, so you were just out of activity since
Yeah.
August 17th because of I have this
Yeah.
back condition.
Yeah.
Okay. Still.
Sort of.
Sort of, yeah, sort of. Like, I've been shooting and stuff. My mom won't let me shoot 3-pointers, but my dad will, so
Well,
my dad will.
I would say we were kind of resting it, and then like second week in
Kind of
September, we were working with one of the PT dads at soccer practice, and he had her doing all these stretches and different things, and she was still getting pain. And he tried to have her do like a little 15-yard sprint thing, and she couldn't. It's just like immediate pain. That's when we're like, all right, we got to get some X-rays.
Yeah, so this MRI, what was the date of this MRI? It was October 11th.
Yeah.
Okay, so October 11th, and right now we're a month, a little less than a month past that.
Mhm.
So we'll get a very clear reading from them, which I think is wonderful. Everything will be current, up to date, and then you'll get time frames. How about a brace? Have you, other than that flimsy brace, have you had any type of, no? So,
We were considering the the bob brace. That's what Dr. Yoakum was suggesting. But my wife's pretty against it.
Okay.
She just thinks it doesn't. From the studies that she's read, there's been no really conclusive.
Well, here's the thing I can tell you. We've had quite a few of these conditions, and they heal. With what we do, they heal. So I'll give you what that is as you make the choice of what you want to do. All right.
Okay.
Because I know your goal's get her to heal.
Yeah, I just want to get it healed. That's all.
No.
Wear whatever we gotta wear.
Yeah, do whatever
Do
you have
whatever
to
we
do.
gotta do.
Well, if you understand why certain things are recommended, it's easier to do. But I go back to you probably didn't get a lot of explanation from Dr. Yoakum. And the thing with Dr. Yoakum, which was, it took me all 55 lectures to really understand it to the level that I do, because they talk in a different vocabulary. They have an expanded vocabulary that you don't understand. They don't, and he doesn't understand what we don't understand. So he gives, and that's why
That makes sense.
he doesn't understand what you don't understand. He doesn't know it at that level. He knows it at the academic level. I had to break it down into functional clinical application. So, okay, anything else?
I think so.
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We do a structural fingerprint exam that looks at this on you, because I don't know how much of my work you've looked at. We did a research study that we published last year, and there are 5 different versions of this. I'm going to explain to you what the different versions are, because you've flown a long ways. I want you to understand as much as possible. And again, because I'm the one who has discovered this, there's no one out there that knows it better than I know it. And what happens is we did a research study that we studied 400 foot scans. The foot scan we'll do on you today shows a wealth of information. It shows how much space is under each foot. It shows the amount of body weight on the left versus right. So it tells a lot of information, and there's additional information too. 400 scans, 400 people have mild, moderate, severe collapse of their feet. More than half of them have more collapse on one side than the other. And all that means is that the foundation of the body is the start of the problem. Okay? Then we did a study where we take an x-ray and we measure the difference in the height of the hips. We get orthotics, put them in, retake that x-ray. And what we learned is that there's 5 different biomechanical patterns. She is one of them, you are one of them, I'm one of them. The first one is unlevel, you put orthotics in, it gets better.
Yeah.
The second one, which was earth-shattering to me, because a kid, I learned it in 2017 when I didn't re-x-ray a kid after we'd given him orthotics, a soccer player. Started getting pain. About 6-7 months later, I re-x-rayed him. He couldn't play anymore. It was so painful. He had a stress fracture here. And he went like that. After orthotics, he got worse. I never knew that could happen. Oh my God. So I changed my protocols. 351 patients later, we did the study. So unlevel gets better is 1, unlevel gets worse is 2, level on x-ray barefoot, and when you put orthotics on, it gets worse is 3, level, and you put orthotics on, it stays the same as 4, unlevel, you put orthotics in, it stays unlevel is 5. Each one you do something different to, because the goal for the architectural structure is to fix the feet and level the hips. And once you do that, it's an entirely different situation. The loading changes dramatically.
It's concerning because her knee looks like that and her spine looks like that.
Yeah.
On all the x-rays
and
I've seen.
I've done literally thousands of these on this age group. And every kid, last night I was at the school that I'm the director of sports injury, sports biomechanics for, Christian Brothers Academy. Meet the coaches night, 400 parents in the stands. I said, every one of your sons have biomechanical imbalances and you have no clue what they are, because that system out there does not look at it. So it's very interesting. That's why we'll uncover. So that's why the physical therapist doing these stretches and the exercise, it's all good, but they don't know what this is. You have to know what that is.
So can chiropractic not fix the problem as a whole?
No, because my second study is just the difference in leg length. So 3 millimeters and less is normal. Greater than 3 millimeters barefoot, 62% of the population. Greater than 3 millimeters With orthotics, 60%. So there's really no difference. So with or without orthotics, 60% of the population has greater than 3 millimeter difference. So one leg is shorter. Chiropractic is not going to fix that. Chiropractic helps because you mobilize joints. It's better than if that joint was fixated. But every time you stand up, you go back into that default pattern. Okay, so we want to check the feet, x-ray, look at hip level. We want to look and see pars defect. Now that's the other issue I wanted to explain to you. The pars defect is irrelevant because once that pars heals, it's stronger than before it broke. That's not the problem. The bone marrow edema is the problem. So once you get the bone marrow edema out of that, once you balance and level to change the loading there, you've got a fresh ball player.
Sorry, what is bone marrow edema?
I'm sorry. It's a great question.
It's just not on me. I keep hearing it, so I think I just subconsciously think I know what it is, but I think I want to ask, what actually is it?
It's inflammation in the bone.
Inflammation of just like...
Yeah, you know, like if you sprain an ankle, your ankle becomes inflamed, fluid buildup?
It's
This
fluid
is
buildup.
fluid buildup in the bone.
Okay. So it's just like stretching everything and...
Here, let me show you.
You know
I
how to
got a
play.
picture I can show you.
This guy knows this stuff.
I'm right with you.
He actually explains it without hard words. This guy. So I look very comfortable.
Here's Indian runner of mine. We brought her here in 2012. She flew here from Boulder because she has heel pain. 10 people out there could not figure out what it was. So the story is so interesting. I'll let you have this so you can read it. But she had a heel spur. No one x-rayed her or MRI'd her. Heel spur. But you see the white or the black. It's different sequences, but that's inflammation in the bone. Okay, and so that's why we orthotics level the hips. Laser is what heals that. So laser ultimately is what will reduce that inflammation down. Okay, but I'll let you have. It's a great article. She's running the New York Marathon on Sunday. Wearing our clothing, so we're very excited for that.
Sweet.
Yeah. So
Devour that on the plane on the way home.
yeah, it's a great story. It's a true success story, but it tells you every aspect of what we do and why all these other athletes are hurt. They're getting just their wrong testing, wrong treatment. So I'm gonna have you take your shoes off. I have to set a patient up on therapy. I'll be right back. We'll go through a physical exam, digital laser foot scan, x-rays.
Should I just be barefoot or?
No, leave your socks on.
Okay.
And I will explain to you before you leave, plus I'll ultimately put it all into a written report for you.
Awesome.
Okay? So,
Appreciate it.
yeah, give me a minute, I'll be right back.
Wait, so will we get the orthotics?
Yeah, of course.
Straight ahead. Okay, don't you look down. We will tell you what we find. Okay? I'm gonna have you go through different movements.
Okay.
Any pain, don't keep going. Go back to this position.
Okay.
Okay, keep your knees straight. Let's have you bend forward. Come back up. And back. Does that hurt?
No.
Back up. Lean this way. Lean this way. Back up. Turn. Turn. Okay. Get up here. Have a seat. And straight. Bend your hip forward. No, no, no. Bend the back as far as you can. Bend the back. Look at look at the ceiling. Okay, come back up to the top. This way. Look over this shoulder. Look over this shoulder. Do you ever have neck problems or headaches?
My neck hurts sometimes, but not headaches now.
Okay. Let me have you lay on your back with your head at that end, feet at this end, please.
This one?
Head at that end, feet at this end.
Wait, this way or the other way?
Yeah.
You're perfect. Let's just leave it at that. You're perfect. So, Jared, you see the left toe turns in more, not by a lot, but it does. These are the imbalances that we look for, because those imbalances are what lead to one area becoming more the focal point of stress. Let me know if there's any discomfort here. Where was the discomfort? The leg? Back?
Yeah, just like.
Hamstring?
Yeah.
Up this down. Okay. And the knee. Okay, so then again, look at that leg where it is. It should go parallel to the ground. This one, you bend it up and drop it down. See how it comes down further? So again, what happens when there's leg length differences is one reason. When you stand, there's more stress going to one side than the other. The iliopsoas muscle group starts to shorten. Turn on your stomach for me. But what that does is that changes your gait, it changes the loading, so it has a huge effect. And that's the question that nobody really asked. If they're an expert, like with Dr. Yoakum, an expert in spondylolisthesis, but he's never asked what causes it. You know, he doesn't take it to that level. That's the level that I, being in practice, I knew that that's where we had to go. Stay right there, Wrigley. I'll be right with you.
Okay.
What do you do, Jared?
He runs work.
Yeah, work-wise.
Oh, he has his own business.
Yeah. I answer the medical questions. She answers the life questions. Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, good.
Yeah, we sell tooling for countertop fabrication, stone fabrication,
And sinks.
sinks, faucets. Yeah, that's all part of it. Now
And
we're
he used to
getting
sell cutting boards.
heavy into chemicals.
I would make her my spokesperson. She seems to care to get that word out more than you do. Let me know if there's any soreness as I do this. Okay, here. Here. Okay. All right, have a seat up.
Oops.
You okay?
No.
Okay, now you can take your socks off. And this is the scanner over here that we're going to have you.
Oh, skin.
It's a touch screen. Some people walk around.
Oh, shortcut always.
Yeah, I like your style. I define this type of person, somebody
I have
who leads
email,
with their chin.
Dad. What should I do with the email?
I put mine Jare.
Capitals?
No.
Now listen, when it gets to the point where you have to scan yourself, just step in those boxes. Make sure you're in those boxes.
Oh.
When it asks you what your shoe type is, just hit the running shoe. It doesn't matter. I'm going to set up for the X-ray.
Physical therapy, A.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a little narrative with it as well, just so that
Sure.
I'm bringing you from. We all set?
Yeah.
Okay. So again, this is the graph that represents every human being, and when you're talking about an injury to the back, the abnormal loading that can cause a pars defect or a fracture, it all starts at the foundation. So having done literally thousands of these, we know that everyone has imbalances in the feet. This is the optimal foot or feet right here. On the scale of 0 to 180, these are 0. That person does not exist. We've never seen that person. Wrigley is 93. The two things that we see is her feet are collapsing, but the right is collapsing more than the left, and we see it here in the difference in the space beneath each foot, which is generally a reflection of an imbalance in the weight distribution. Now, over here, it gives the weight distribution, but it doesn't really highlight that, so it's absorbed and, compensatory. There's a lot of stuff going on. Here's the point. Orthotics will take 93 to 0. If you don't get orthotics, 93 continues to grow because feet continue to collapse. So now here is the orthotic that coincidentally is the one I helped them design 5 years ago because I think it's the perfect orthotic in many ways. The Orthotic for cleats is something along this line. It's a little different than this, but it's a smaller orthotic. So 2 should satisfy everything that's needed. So now what we want to do is we want to go up to the level of the hips. The left hip is 2.5 millimeters higher than the right hip. 3 and below is normal. Okay, so we would have said, okay, she's normal. But putting orthotics in Wrigley's shoes and retaking that x-ray, she's now 7.5 millimeters high on the left. And let me kind of show, if you want to point that at me, if one leg is longer than the other, and if all things are equal and the hips are like this, as we live, our body's trying to balance our hips. So this is occurring. If you look at my left leg, the body's trying to balance it. When you put orthotics in and fix the feet, it exposes that difference. And that's what's happened here. So, and that's what has caused, because the body has done that, that is where the stress has accumulated. So therefore, she has a 7.5 millimeter shortness of the right leg. And in the end, what that's done is...
So you're saying by putting in the orthotics, it levels everything out and gives you a better blueprint of what the actual...
Yes, but the correct wording is there are 2 variables. The feet influence the height of the hips, and the leg length influences the height of the hips. When you remove the feet from the equation because you fix them, the only variable is the length of the leg. So that exposes that there is a shortness of the leg. And then looking laterally, we can see there is the pars defect. However, she has a relatively normal angle. She has a perfect center of gravity. So that's not the factor. Her factor was the hip height difference and probably her personality. And I say you lead with your chin. You're probably the first one in, you know what I mean? That type of thing. Very demanding on that low back. So if we can balance her, and then if we can get that to heal, the MRI tomorrow will show if it's active or inactive.
Interesting.
Okay?
Interesting
So,
stuff.
and maybe if you just want to take a picture of this for Cassia, just to show, which would show that Wrigley is a crooked man too, which is, it gets worse with orthotics. At Wrigley, 16% of the population. So you're in a select group. You'd be very fortunate. Now you have to find out from mom or dad which one when you gave you crooked man too.
Definitely my dad.
Definitely dad. So, if you'd like, we can take pictures of all these for your records. I'm going to put them into the report.
Okay.
All right.
That'd be great.
So, yeah, whatever you want to do, we can do that after we do you. We can take pictures of all of them.
Okay.
Any questions?
No.
Okay.
That's interesting. Yes. So what are the orthotics? So she will get orthotics, or do you need to get the orthotics?
You just have to give us the word. We order them. They take a week to come in. We ship them to you.
So do you get the orthotics to like make up for this 0.7 difference, or how does it work?
No. What we will do is Velcro a 7 millimeter lift to the bottom.
Gotcha.
And then every 2 years, and I'm doing this study now, and nobody else on the planet knows this, but because I have such a large database of this age group, their legs don't grow evenly. So every 2 years, you want to take that front to back x-ray to see where it's at. Right, and I know someone out there will do it, but we'll put these lifts on for you.
This goes throughout the whole bottom of the foot, or just the heel?
Just the heel.
What does this
Just the
help
heel.
with?
Because you know why the shoe bed doesn't hold that. For people, we had a kid here, 7th grader, grew 6 inches. He's 6'3". Came in 2 days ago.
7th grader?
7th grader. His father brought him in because he understood and wanted to get a biomechanical exam. Has no problems. That kid's hips are 19 millimeters off.
Wow.
So think of the issues that kid's going to go through.
Big time.
Huge.
Wait,
So,
19 millimeters?
yeah, so you're off by 7, and look at the effect it has on your back.
Oh, it's centimeters.
That's centimeters. You're 7.5 millimeters.
Oh. That makes no sense. Okay.
So that's why I stand in front of that crowd last night and I say, please bring your kid in. you know, I don't know. It just,
19 millimeters.
yeah.
So it's basically like this.
It's double that,
I'll
basically.
show it to you. You won't know the kid, so it doesn't matter if you know his name.
You might someday.
Yeah, you might.
6'3", 7th grader. Sheesh. Whoa. Yeah, that's.
Isn't that crazy?
I wish I would have done that to Greg Oden.
Exactly. You guys especially. Did
Golly.
he didn't get picked ahead of Jordan. Who was the guy? Hugh.
Bugsy Bros.
No, he got picked ahead of Durant.
Yeah. Who the two guys that picked ahead of Jordan? Olajuwon and
Bugsy Bros.
not Muggsy Bogues. It was
No,
the big
when
guy.
it went
out of
Jordan.
Kentucky.
No, Olajuwon, Sam Bowie, then
Sam
Jordan.
Oh, Sam Bowie.
Sam Bowie. That's right.
I would have been fine with Olajuwon. We lost the coin toss for Olajuwon. That was the
That
problem.
would have been a sweet deal.
I'll take Drexler and Olajuwon over one Jordan.
Poor Sam Bowie's people. All right, so we'll clean the table off. Had Wrigley on it. We don't want you to catch anything.